Do you see yourself as a hero in your own health challenge or any challenge in life for that matter? I'm inviting you to explore that today in this episode of Wellness by Design. I'm Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer, and your host of Wellness by Design. And in this episode, I'm digging into the hero's journey that was identified by Joseph Campbell and how we can apply that to a challenge that we're having with health to move us from feeling like a victim to feeling like a hero. So I'm going to share a little bit about my own story and got some kind of deep questions for you. So pay attention, listen along, and let your mind flow to your story. I think you're going to enjoy this episode. So whether you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast app or you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you think. And I look forward to seeing you inside the episode. Okay, today we are talking about likening a wellness journey, a journey back to health, to the quintessential hero's journey. So Joseph Campbell, in his book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, examined all these different mythological stories and modern stories and identified a common path. And we see this again, like mythology, we see it in Hollywood movies, we see this path over and over again in books. So just to name a few, like Star Wars, The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, The Matrix, Harry Potter, and so on. All the best stories have this. And I think it's because we have a yearning for this. We have a yearning deep down in our soul to move from victim to hero, to move from dissatisfaction to satisfaction. And so we really identify with these kinds of stories. So Joseph Campbell said that there are basically 3 parts. There's 12 steps in 3 parts. So the 3 parts are the departure, crossing the threshold, and the reward. So here's the steps in the departure: the ordinary world, the call to adventure. So the hero gets called to an adventure, maybe refuses the call to adventure, and then meets a mentor. And then there's the crossing of the threshold. So in this part of the hero's journey, there's the initiation, tests and allies and enemies. Step 7 is approach to the innermost cave. And 8 is the ordeal. And then comes part 3, the reward. So the steps are step 9, the return, the road back, resurrection, and then coming with the elixir, returning home with the elixir, the secret. So those are the 12 steps. So I want to see these. And I thought about this, a lot of times in my own healing journey, I felt like I was a hero. And I'll talk about my journey kind of along the way. But I feel like whenever we have a health challenge, what I know now after reviewing so much research and working with so many people is that a health challenge is not just a physical challenge. The physical side of things is so downstream. We've had all these other challenges first. So that we've had some emotional challenges, mental and spiritual. So these challenges are really showing up in our life because at some level, our true essence, like what we came here to do, who we came here to be, is being denied. And so we may have gotten some calls initially that were not loud enough until with a health challenge, it's a loud enough call that we pay attention. And so illness is a challenge, and it's calling us to discover the why and the how. How do we let that true essence out again? So let's break it down a little bit in the hero's journey. So first of all, step 1 in the hero's journey is the ordinary world. It's kind of like the familiar landscape of our everyday life. We're going about our routine. We're unaware of any of the trials that are lying ahead. And for me personally, it was like the routine of work and family and just personal living and so on. Um, and then there's obviously a disruption, right? So the disruption is step number two, which is the call to adventure. I know it doesn't sound like a fun adventure, does it? Getting pain, but that is, and I see it now as a beautiful gift and adventure. So the call to adventure. So this could be a diagnosis or like really physical symptoms that you can't ignore. Unexpected twist. It could be, if we're kind of like stepping outside of the health journey, it could be things like a divorce or the death of someone that you love, or it could be losing a job, something like that, like a big kind of thing in your life. Um, and it's a moment that demands courage and resilience. And courage, that's again one of those feelings that's like deep within us. When we think of courage and valor, those are emotions and that we aspire to, that we admire in others. So it's demanding this call to adventure is calling that, and we at this point might be uncertain of what lies ahead. So for me, it was, again, I wasn't certain. I had all this pain. I wasn't certain what was lying ahead. But I just like, this is going to pass. So that's kind of the step three, refusing the call. This will pass. It'll go away. You might be going through at that point, like a lot of doubts. Why is this happening to me? It's not fair. Those kinds of things. So you're not accepting the call to turn this into a transformation, a journey of transformation. You're refusing it. You just want to let things just go back to the way they were before. So then we move on to step 4, which is meeting the mentor. Now, this mentor could be like an actual person. It could be meeting, like for me, it felt like a higher, wiser part of me. So for me, I felt like, you probably heard this before if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, where I talk about at that like rock bottom moment when I was riddled with pain, no idea how I was going to overcome it, no idea what was causing it. And there were no solutions appearing before me. And I was ready to give up. I was ready to refuse that call, right? I really literally had the thought, if this is the way my life is going to be, I'm ready to be done. Definitely refusing the call. And so in the next moment, right after that, I had like I don't know if I heard a voice or like just a knowing, but it felt like a voice in my head. And it said, this is not how your life is going to turn out. You're going to figure this out and you're going to teach other people, which is kind of why I'm here now. But that was where I felt like I met my mentor, because it wasn't really a person, but it was like a wiser part of me that knew. And after that point, I knew that I was going to figure it out. So I was ready then to go on the adventure. So I wasn't refusing the call anymore. I was going on the adventure. So crossing over the threshold. So that's that pivotal moment of transition, the leap of faith into the unknown. So for me at that point, I still was in pain. I still didn't know how I was going to figure it out, but I kind of accepted that my journey, my hero's journey, was to figure out. I wasn't calling it a hero's journey at that point. I was just like, okay, I was actually thinking more like I was an engineer and a problem solver then, that I would overcome this challenge and restore my health completely. And so I actually became like a warrior then. So we're kind of like go into the tests, allies, and enemies now. The next step. So this is we're crossing the threshold and into the next part now, the initiation. And so as I was kind of coming along doing the tests, sometimes I was literally doing tests, like, different naturopathic tests. I was trying different things. I was going through a lot of physical and emotional and mental trials, really pushing me to my limit and still not figuring things out. I did find some, allies, some support along the way. I did identify things and people I had to let go of in my life, at least temporarily. And because I could see that these were stopping my progress. But I did have support. I did find a naturopath that I was working with. My own family doctor was marvelous as well. And, I started working with a rheumatologist. So I was getting my team in place, my support team. Um, and then the next step, approaching the inmost cave. So that's, when we talk about cave, we're talking about like inner, right? Your inner, I wouldn't say demons, but maybe your deepest fears or deepest emotions that perhaps you may have been ignoring, blocking and ignoring. And for me, that was really realizing, because up to that point, I was like, oh, warrior. I'm a, rheumatoid arthritis warrior. I'm going to fight this and I'm going to solve this. And then when I get to this inmost cave, it was more about realizing that there was this deeper understanding that I had to go deeper and realize that everything was happening for me, that I had for me, not to me, that I had to really, I always think about it as peeling back the layers of the onion to really understand that even though I knew that I had had this very stressful year before all this came on, I thought that was the actual trigger, but I had to go right back and realize that I still had childhood traumas, minor traumas that I needed to release. I was hanging on to emotions. And as I look back, I could see that, the illness, the diagnosis was, the shouting. There were lots of signs before that I was being too tight. I was stiff. I was rigid. I had, tight neck, tight shoulders. Had a lot of these things going on that were whispers, for me to change my journey. But I was too caught up in my life to really realize it and stuffing it down. And I mean, I didn't really consciously stuff it down. I had probably stuffed emotions down like from a very young age. And we all do, right? We all have gone through things in our life where we could not deal with emotions, and so we stuffed them down. And, eventually the body speaks, right? If we don't hear the whispers, it speaks louder and louder and louder until we do pay attention. So the next step is the ordeal. And this is the trial by fire that tests your resilience and strength. So for me, it was still, I kind of think I was around 2 years into my healing journey and feeling like I still have this pain. And I felt a lot of times around then, I felt like I was in a real battle with time, actually, because for rheumatoid arthritis, and I guess for a lot of illnesses, we feel like time is our enemy because symptoms get progressively worse. For rheumatoid arthritis, there's joint destruction. You keep hearing it. I used to hear this. You better get this under control or you're going to have permanent damage. And so it felt like it was it was still an ordeal because I still didn't really know. Um, and I was still having a lot of flares at that point and frustrated by that. But I kept on going on my journey and never giving up. I, because of that epiphany that I'd had way back when on that earlier step, the call to adventure. So where was I calling that meeting my mentor and crossing that threshold? When I was at that point, I knew ever since then that I would figure it out because I just had this knowing. Um, so I kept on going. So even though I was in that ordeal, I kept on going and kept on going. I never gave up. I kept on uncovering, peeling back the onion layers, learning more and more, really understanding more about how our emotions, and going further back from that, our energy, right? So all there were things in my life that were preventing the fullness of me from expressing in this physical body. Um, so I kept at it, and then eventually I did have longer and longer and longer periods between flares, and then I really felt like it was behind me. Now, I still may have a flare if things come up. Recently, I had a mold exposure. I had gluten exposure. I had feelings that were, stressful situation, and right back in. Okay, I'm still on this journey. I'm going back. I'm never giving up. But so the reward is these insights, having new resilience. And so my new resilience is that even though I may have flares, I know that I have reversed all this before and I can do it again. And it's not forever. And I don't need to stress about it. I just need to come back to the strategies that I know work, to loving myself, to being kind and compassionate with myself, to uncovering root causes and dealing with those. So that is the reward, those insights, and also the understanding that I really am 100% responsible for my health. I think that's what this hero's journey calls us to do. It calls us to be 100% responsible. Yes, have a team around us, but we ultimately are 100% responsible. And through that responsibility, we uncover a resilience that we never knew we had. I'm speaking for myself. I never knew I had. Maybe it's the same for you. I don't know. So then the road back is coming back to the ordinary world again, kind of your life transformed now, though, through experiences and understanding that these lessons that you've learned and the wisdom that you've gained from your journey can never be taken away from you. You always had them. Next step, the resurrection. So you experience a resurrection, in this case, a symbolic rebirth that heralds your emergence from the depths of adversity. So you're feeling renewed and empowered and really embracing the person that you've become as a result of this experience. And you know what? I would not trade my experience for anything. I really do believe it all happened for me. It woke me up. I wasn't living a life that was authentic to me. And so that is my elixir, which is the last step, returning with the elixir. And the elixir is also sharing it with other people, right? So it's not that you all have to do. I chose to become a health coach and create this platform where I could teach people. You don't have to do that. You could just be a different person yourself, and other people can see that now perhaps, I don't know where you were before, but perhaps now you are a kinder, more compassionate and caring person, or that you now make time for the things that are important for you. So you've had this like this journey. It could have been circuitous kind of journey, but now it's equipped you with the tools and the insights that you need to be a beacon of hope for others facing similar challenges. I'm just thinking about a friend of mine who, in the last week, had to have diagnosed. She had a diagnosis of a brain tumor, brain surgery, removed it, and she is the most positive person you could possibly imagine. And I was on a call with her last night, and she was saying, I am going to use this. And I thought, she is on a hero's journey. Of course, she's going to use it as a beacon of hope for other people. That's what she's going to do. But, what does that mean? It might mean just telling your friends about it. It could mean having a bigger platform to talk about it. It could mean being a role model for your kids. It doesn't have to be public, right? It can just be with your own intimate circle of people in your life. But you've changed as a result of this journey. So when you think about this journey that I've laid out, like the hero's journey as a health journey, and being your own healing hero, taking 100% responsibility and being the discoverer of the elixir that has helped you overcome this obstacle you faced. Just think about this in relation to your own health journey. And if you don't have a health issue, perhaps some other issue in your life. So we can have like big journeys, but they can also be smaller journeys, right? For smaller issues. Can you envision yourself looking at this particular issue? So bring it to mind now, an issue that maybe you've had a loss of a person in your life, or a job loss, or some other thing. It could be a health challenge as well. But when you think about this, can you envision yourself as the hero of your own story? And you don't have to envision the whole story. But maybe when you think about those qualities of being a hero, of having courage, of being resilient, of loving yourself enough to stick to this, of having that knowing of completing the journey. Can you see yourself in that? Imagine yourself just on the threshold, the beginning of this journey, that call. At that point, just close your eyes if you're not driving. What do you see? See yourself on the threshold of that journey, and what do you see? And what do you feel? Out of the head, the thinking about this, and get into the body, and notice what you feel when you think of yourself and feel yourself on the threshold of a hero's journey. And here's my coach coming out. What do you need to do to take that first courageous step forward? What's the first thing you need to do? Is it find mentors? Is it research other healing stories to help you with belief? Is it time for yourself? What is it? And I do believe you know exactly what it is that you need to do. So, my fellow hero, where are you on that journey? Maybe you're already along that journey. A lot of people that are following me probably are already along the journey because you've already accepted the call, right? Because traditionally, we don't accept the call. Traditionally, or we're not encouraged to accept the call. Traditionally, we are like, you're the victim, hand your power over, someone else will tell you what to do. It's a very disempowering place to be. Not that you don't have people on your team. So I'm not saying don't have people on your team. I still, being the CEO, your hero, right? Is the CEO of your journey. That is your hero. Being the hero takes advice and then makes decisions. So a lot of people in my audience probably already are on that healing journey. So where are you now? You might be somewhere along there. Do you feel like you're close to the end? Where do you need to be? Do you need mentors? Maybe you need mentors and that's how you found me. I don't know. I'd love to know where you are. Let me know where you think you are on that hero's journey and leave a comment. And stay tuned for future episodes because I'm going to be talking about the victim to hero leaps. So I've identified 8 leaps based on everything that I've studied and learned in the last 8 years, my own journey and working with other people. I'm going to share my ideas on how to make that victim to hero leap, the necessary shifts that need to happen. So I'm going to be sharing that with you. I'm actually writing a book on this. I put aside my Pain Free by Design book because I've realized I needed to go back a little bit before that and help people understand that they can do this. So that's what I'm working on now. And I'd love to know, does this resonate with you? This whole concept of being on a healing journey and being the healing hero of your own journey. Does that resonate with you? Does it make sense? Does it feel like, yeah, that's right? And when you see yourself as a hero, does that change the actions that you take? Does it help you shake off doubts? Because heroes just encounter those obstacles along the way, but eventually they emerge victorious. I know you can too. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Wellness by Design and sticking with me through my healing hero story. And I'm looking forward to sharing more with you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who needs more hope and resilience, needs to feel empowered, whether they're facing a health challenge or some other challenge in life, share this episode with them. Might be the best thing that they ever heard, and it could change your life. All right, I'll see you again soon, my friends.